You don't have to control the world. You only have to control 4 things: your words, your mood, your money, and your mind. If you let any of these go, life will remind you who's in control. You may be smart, talented, even well-intentioned, but if you don't control your words when you're angry, your mind when you're afraid, your mood when things are messed up, or your money when temptation knocks at your door, you're not really in control of your life. You're just reacting to it. And the truth is, the philosophers understood this better than anyone. Freedom doesn't start with what you own, it starts with what you control. Not your job, not your past, not the opinions of others, but yourself, your discipline, your restraint, your ability to stop when others explode, your ability to walk away when others chase, your ability to choose silence over noise and stillness over chaos. In this article, we will analyze the 4 silent factors that shape everything: words, emotions, finances, and inner self. Control them, and you will build a life that no storm can shake. Let them control you, and you will see your future quietly collapse from within. This is not an inspirational quote. It is a guide to self-mastery. Let's get started. 1. Control your words. The tongue has no bones, but it can destroy everything. The tongue has no bones, but it can break trust, kill opportunities, and burn bridges that no apology can rebuild. There was a man who worked in the company for 7 years, always quiet and excellent. He was not the loudest person, but when he spoke, people listened. Until one day in a leadership meeting, a young colleague was chosen to present the strategy that he helped build. He disagreed with the presentation, so he interrupted in the middle of the meeting. His voice full of irritation, his tone harsh. The whole meeting room fell silent. He was right then, but from that day on, no one looked at him the same way. That is the danger of words. You can win an argument but lose the war. You can tell the truth, but destroy your credibility if you do not control how you deliver it. The sculptors understand this. Words are not weapons, they are tools. But if used in the wrong hand or at the wrong time, they do more harm than good. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't waste time arguing about what a good person should be. Be that person." Wise people don't speak to prove, they speak to clarify, and most of the time they wait. Let's be honest, you rarely get in trouble for what you don't say. Trouble comes when your mouth runs faster than your mind, and you regret not only the damage you caused, but because deep down you know you didn't have to say it. Look at today's culture. Everyone has something to say. Everyone interrupts, reacts, argues, corrects, but no one listens. But when a person steps in and says less, pauses before speaking, their words seem carefully considered. People pay attention. Because in a world addicted to noise, discipline is attractive. Think about the last time you said something in anger. Maybe to a friend, lover, or co-worker. You didn't really mean it. You just reacted, but the hurt was still there. You apologized, they forgave, but they still have a little voice in their head. It turns out that's what they really think about you, and you can't take it back. Now think about someone you admire. Do they speak to win or to help? Do they speak first or listen first? That's the difference. Average people speak to express their feelings. Wise people speak to guide. And disciplined people only speak when silence is no longer enough. Controlling your words is not weakness. It's mastering the most dangerous weapon you carry at all times. Words can open doors or slam them shut. They can lift someone up from the brink or push them down. And more dangerous than words is shaping your mind. What you say to others reflects how you think about yourself. What you say to yourself becomes the reality you live. So the next time you feel like getting angry, venting, complaining, or just saying something, ask yourself, is it necessary? Is it constructive? Am I adding light or just adding noise? Arrogant. Because in the end, you are not remembered for how loud you spoke, but for whether your words were meaningful or just empty. Control your words, speak less but make them count, and let your silence be louder than the shout of the crowd. 2. Control your mind, your destiny battlefield. Your mind is not a mirror of the world. It reflects what you choose to focus on. A man lost everything, not because the world collapsed, but because his mind collapsed. After being fired, he stopped looking for another job. He told himself that no one would hire him, that he was too old, that everything was hopeless. He closed himself off and became quiet. Accepting defeat, friends still contacted him with opportunities, but he avoided them, not because they were not real, but because his mind told him they were not for him. This is how most people lose, not in your actions, but but in your thoughts, long before failure actually comes. Good thinkers understand this. Epictetus taught that it is not the things that bother you, but how you judge them. Your mind is a portal. What you let in shapes everything else. If your thoughts are chaotic, fearful, angry, or always reactive, then so will your actions, relationships, habits, and results. The problem is that most people don't realize what's going on in their minds. They let negative thoughts sit there unchallenged, and like a hook in a dark room, it spreads. Ask yourself, have you ever said to yourself, "I can't," before you try? Have you ever assumed someone didn't like you before they opened their mouth? Have you ever worried about something that hasn't happened yet? That's not reality. That's undisciplined thinking, and it's running your life. The mind isn't just a place for thinking. It's your destiny battlefield. If you don't control it, you'll be ruled by fear disguised as logic, by assumptions disguised as consciousness, by emotions disguised as truth. The caricatured person wakes up in the same noisy, chaotic, stressful world as everyone else. But the difference is they choose what goes into their mind. They choose where to put their attention. They filter every thought through reason. They don't feed their thoughts, they don't serve their best self. I myself don't control my feelings. Yes, you can, you just haven't practiced the discipline of thinking. Controlling your mind isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's about not letting your emotions write your story. You don't accept every thought as truth. You interrogate yourself. Is this fear or truth? Is it truth or just an old wound speaking? You don't shut out the storm. You just stop letting it take over. The tools of the mind are different. Journal to challenge and clarify your thoughts. Good. Observe your thoughts without clinging. Read books. Feed your mind with disciplined frames of mind instead of rubbish. Be alone to hear your own voice without being disturbed by others. If you spend all day stuffing your mind with drama, rumors, laundry headlines, and chaos, don't be surprised when your life gets out of control. The mind is not pure rubbish. Don't throw unverified thoughts into it and expect peace. If you want power, take it back from your mind. The one who controls the mind cannot be manipulated, cannot be diverted, cannot be dominated by fear, cannot control the mind, because every victory or defeat is decided before you act. 3. Control your mood. Don't let your emotions take over. He missed a job opportunity that could have changed his life, not because of lack of ability or someone sabotaging him, but because of his bad mood. That morning, he spilled coffee on his shirt, got cut off in the street, and had to wait 20 minutes at the reception desk. When he sat down in front of the recruiter, his face was tense, his voice was harsh, his energy was negative. They didn't call back. That's the price of an uncontrolled mood. It spills over, spoiling moments that shouldn't be ruined and spreading far beyond the original cause. The sculptor's warn. You have power over your mind, not external events. Understand this, and you will find power. Anger, sadness, frustration, anxiety, they are all human emotions. But when you let them take over your behavior, let them control your whole day, you lose. Moods are not you. They are like the weather, fleeting, temporary. And like the weather, you don't have to cancel your whole day just because it's raining. We all have times when a small thing sets off a chain reaction, a panicked email, a sarcastic remark, a missed train, so the whole day is ruined. You are irritable, unfocused. But the real problem is not what happened. It is that you did not stop to refresh yourself. You do not ask yourself if you want this feeling to define your day. The way of the disciplined person is to pause processing, move forward. They do not deny the feeling, they observe it. They do not pretend everything is okay. They just do not hand over control to the actual tool, naming the feeling. When a bad mood comes, name it. I am upset, I am insecure, I feel disrespected. Naming creates space, and in that space, clarity appears, and ask what a stronger version of me would do now and do it. Gratitude also helps you not to hold anger and gratitude at the same time when your mood is dark. Find one thing you are grateful for and hold on to it. If you do not control your mood, it will control your words, your choices, your relationships, and your results. And often the damage it causes cannot be repaired with an apology. Don't chase a perfect day. Practice emotional mastery. Practice staying calm in the midst of a storm. Practice smiling without reason. Practice reacting as a person with principles, not a slave to fleeting moods. Control your mood because no victory is lasting if your emotions are still in control. 4. Control your money. Financial freedom, ISIS, true freedom. Money doesn't change who you are, it only reveals how much control you have. A man drives a car he can't afford to impress people he doesn't respect and posts it online, hoping strangers will like it. But behind him, he's drowning in debt. His credit cards maxed out, his rent overdue. His clothes are new, but his mind is a mess. The modern world doesn't begrudge you with chains anymore. It's in payments, monthly installments, mental payments, soul payments. You can't build peace when you're building debt. And you can't build power when you're trading discipline for instant gratification. Other philosophers didn't talk about money like we do today, but they talked a lot about attachment. Epicurus warned that wealth isn't about having much, it's about wanting less. Let's be honest, most people don't have a money problem. They have a self-control problem. The problem is whether I deserve it or not. They don't spend money, they spend peace, and call it happiness. The truth is, if you don't say no to what you want now, you will never have what you really want later. Other people are not chasing money to show off. They build it to protect their freedom, to never be a beggar, not to beg for money, not to beg for favors, not to beg for recognition, because any dependence is an invisible heart. Real wealth is not just income, but control. Control over your spending, your emotions, your future, is the ability to say, I don't need that now because I'm building something bigger. Have you ever bought something just because you were bored? The season of convenience is not because you need it, but because your ego is hurt and you want to feel in control. That's not power, that's an escape from your emotions, disguised as self-worth. The meticulous person builds systems. They budget not to limit their joy, but to protect their freedom. They save because storms can come unexpectedly. They invest not just in assets, but in their mindset, skills, and stability. They avoid debt because the interest you pay is not just money, but in your spirit. Debt robs you of not just your money, but your choices. It makes you say yes. Having a job you hate keeps you up at night, turns your future into a prison you've put yourself in. Money isn't bad, but obsessing over it is. When you live to impress, you live in stress. When you live beyond your means potential, you sink below your potential. You don't need to be rich, you need stability, you need control, because there is no discipline without self-reliance, and there is no self-reliance if you are fighting with your wallet. Every penny you spend is a vote for the future you will live. Before buying something, ask yourself, does this support the person I want to be? Is this a reward or a reaction? Will it matter in 5 years, or is it just feeding a 5-second emotion? Want peace to fix the holes? Want power to stop giving discipline to impulses, control money? Because financial freedom is not about being rich, but no longer being a slave. Conclusion: master yourself, master your life. Most people want freedom, but what they chase is permission. Allow indulgence, reaction, laziness, lack of discipline, and still want peace. But true freedom does not come from the outside, it comes from inner discipline. Until you master your words, your mind, your mood, and money, you will always be controlled by something. Look around at those who are addicted to impulsiveness. React to every insult, spend every penny, explode at little things, crave recognition at every step. They are not free, they are just loud, and under that noise is fear. A connoisseur lives differently. They are not cold, they are not insensitive. They just do not give the keys to their peace to the chaos of life. They do not shout because they do not need to prove. They do not boast because they are not afraid of being underestimated. They do not overspend because they know true power is quiet. Ask yourself what your life would be like if your emotions did not control your mornings, if your thoughts did not swirl every night, if your words always matched your wisdom, if your wallet reflected your values. That is not a dream. That is what happens when you choose control over comfort. Connoisseurs do not pursue luxury but balance. They do not seek applause but integrity. They understand that freedom is not about doing whatever you want, but about becoming someone who doesn't need to save you from yourself. Paradoxically, discipline doesn't imprison you, it frees you. When you control your words, you build confidence. When you control your mind, you unlock clarity. When you control your emotions, you win battles without starting them. When you control your money, you move freely instead of begging for choices. You want power, don't try to control others' outcomes or opinions. Start from the battlefield within. The winner there cannot be stopped. Control is not the goal, it is the path. Freedom is the follower. You don't need more motivation, you need more responsibility. Look in the mirror and ask if your mood is controlling me. Are my words draining me of my power? Am I undisciplined despite having money? Is my mind working for me or against me? If one of these answers hurts you, you're ready. Start small. Speak more intentionally. Think more clearly. Feel more balanced. Spend more mindfully. Take control of these 4, and you'll see life start to drink to your will. This isn't about perfection. This is about no longer being passive, because no one will save you but you. If this message awakens something in you, don't stay silent. Leave a comment, share with someone who is stuck in their own chaos, and follow for more hard lessons to help you master the only battlefield that really matters. You. This is Hard Life, and your next chapter begins now.